So again, so what you have to do is write down the appropriate answers to match the labels A to F. So very similar thing. So you have to write down the answers to match the labels from A to F, right? Okay, let me maximize it. Now you can read it. Right, okay. Yeah, any questions, please let me know. So do this question. Once you're done, please raise the hands. Okay, Najat completed. Very good. So once you completed, please raise the hands. Very similar to the 2015. This is the last paper, last year's paper, 2020, 21, they said. So what there is again, asking the preference, right? The travel preference, right? Based on that, they're going to make a decision. You mean the question? Okay, Usman. The teacher asked from 50 students to choose their preferred travel destination, either Kandy or Gaul, for the annual school trip. The destination will be decided based on the highest student preference. The following flowchart with blanks labeled from A to F represent this scenario. If you want to rewrite the question, I mean, if you want to write all the question, including the flow chart, maybe you can take a screenshot and you can copy down later, or you can, follow the recording and you can copy down. Okay, is that clear, Uzma, the question? Is this 2021 years article, 2021 years? But this is very similar to 2015 paper, very similar to 2015 paper. This is 2021. Okay, once you're done, please raise the hands. So I hope the question is clear, right? Okay, what is A? Basically, you can see, so initially, we initializing the variables we say, right? So initializing the variables that we are going to use in the program. The student count is equal 0, candy count is 0, candy underscore count, gold underscore count. Then what should be A? Very simple, I think. A. Yes, Hafsa, correct. Rida, correct. Uzma, correct. Najat, correct. Umar, correct. What should be A? Yes. So A should be 0, right? That's very obvious. So A should be 0. Very good. Yes. Right. So go ahead and do the second part. Now, so we are comparing. Okay, now look at this one again, right? So who can tell me what is the structure? What type of a structure you see here? I want you to, what is this structure? What type of a structure? We learned three type, remember? Sequence, selection, and what is the other one? Conditions, right? Repetition, yeah, repetition. Selections, that is condition, then the sequence. Very good. So what type of structure you see here in this highlighted part?
Repetition.
Yeah, repetition. So we say loops. This is a repetition or loop. So you can see a loop here or repetition here, right? So what happens basically, see, initially, right, you start with one student. I don't think they will repeat the same question in next year also. But so you have to ask each student about their travel preference. Okay, how do you want to go? I mean, where do you want to go? You want to go to Gaul or you want to go to Kandy? So what you have to do is you have to repeat the same question, travel preference. Okay, you have to repeat the same question for all this. I think how many students are there? I can't remember. So you have to repeat for 50 students. So you have to repeat the same thing for the 50 students. You have to ask the same question. That's why we say it's a repetition, it's a loop. So how do you start? First, okay. Look at this one. We know, right? When you want to repeat a question again over and again, then you have to have a loop. How do you control it then? How do you know that? Okay, I have asked from the ones I have asked. Okay, first student, second student, so that I have completed all 50. How do you know that? We usually use a controlling variable or counter. We use a counter, right? Or we use a controlling variable which control the loop. So in this case, okay, so we check that control variable, right? Student count, that is 50, initially 0, which can go up to how many? So initially it start from 0, then we start with the first student, then that student count will become, the student count will become, student underscore count will become 1. Then you ask the same question from the second student, then this will become 2, 3, up to how many students? 50. So you have to repeat the same thing how many times? 50. So what is B then? Then what is, that is the B, if you can decide the B, others are easy. So what is B? So we are discussing 2021 paper, right? Yes, B, Uzma correct, Najat correct. Who else? Half, no, Umar correct. So what is B? Is it, so you have to repeat, right? You have to repeat. Yeah, Rida correct. So what is B? You can, you have to repeat, right? Until what? How many times? Is it 51 or 50 or 49? Which one? 50, okay. Yes, B, you have to repeat 50 times. So you say 50, right? 50. Okay, now if I ask you this, okay, what happens? Okay, what happens when the question, okay, you, as I said earlier, okay, you start with first student, right? Student count, you start with the first student, then repeat the same thing, second student, third student. When B becomes 50, right? When B becomes 50, so we are going to ask the question from the 50th student. So that's why the student count less than 50. Okay. So when the student count becomes 50, okay, 50 less than 50. Is this condition true or false? Is this condition true or false?
False.
False. Okay. Now, if the condition is false, program will jump into the no part, right? It won't go to the yes part. So we won't be able to ask the question from the 50th one. Is that the case? Because the condition is true, not true. It's not true. Okay, what? I don't know. Okay, let me explain it. Okay, so student count, right? Student count. What happened? Initially 0, right? Then you ask, okay, then count become 1, right? Then 2, 3. Then when it becomes 50, now this is 50 now. Count is 50. Already student count becomes 50, less than 50. Now this condition is false now. So the program will go to here. Now what happens? So you are missing the 50th one. Okay, very good, Usman. So yes, we are not going to miss because Artika C, because we are starting from the 0, right? So you are starting from 0. It's like this. Okay, you want to count from 0 to, let's say you want to count from 0 to 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, how many students are here? Is it 10 students or 11 students? If you include the 0, how many students are here? Is it 10 students or 11 students? How many? Is it 10 or 11? Is it 10 or 11 students? How many students are there?
11.
11. So when you include the 0, so this is 11 students. So same will happen here. If you include the 0, how many students will be here? Up to 50. That is 51 students, right? Is that clear? So if you want to count from 0 to 10, then you know it's 11, right? That's the case, right? So same thing, if you start from the 0, right? If you start from 0, then you already, so when it comes to the 50, already you have counted 50 students, because, right? See how many students are here in this range? 50 to 0 to 50, it's 51. So 50, so the B should be, so A is 0, B should be 50, not 51. Is that clear? So we don't want to, we don't include that one. Okay. If you are not clear, please ask your question. So I don't understand this part. Okay, I can explain it. Okay, now we'll come to the C. C is easy. What is C then? What is C? Yes, Sarah correct. Rida correct. But Sarah, look at the variables. So maybe, but better you use it, right? The same way they have given. So okay. So yeah, it's very simple. So you have to, okay, now you ask the question, okay, whether you want to go to the candy or whether you want to go to the goal. Okay, if the students say candy, what you have to do? You have to add 1 to the candy variable. Usually, how do you do that? As I said earlier also, right? So if it is count, we say count equal count plus 1. So we use the same variable and add, right? That's how we do that. So this is kind of a standard, right? So you can remember this in programming. This is how we add the variable, right? Count. So if you have variable candy, right? If you want to add 1 to that variable, you have to say candy underscore count, simple, everything. That's how they have defined the variable. So you say candy underscore count plus 1, right? So that is how you write this, right? So you add 1 to the candy count. So you ask the student, where do you want to go? Okay, I want to candy. I want to go to candy. So you add 1 to the count so that we know one student want to go to candy, right? That's the idea. Is that clear? Okay. Now C should be then, right? So let me edit this candy count. So, because what you have to do, candy count equal C here, candy count plus 1, right? So C is done. What is D and what is E? D. So we are coming to the next part, right? We asked whether the travel preference, okay, they have travel preference. They said, okay, I don't want to go to candy. So we add 1 to the goal, the same idea. Add 1 to the goal. So very simple, yes. Then D should be again, but that is goal count, but you have to use the same variable as they have defined, goal count, right? Then E should be what? You add 1 to that. Very simple. Right? So, and interestingly, this is not a new question. This is already given in 2050. See how easy is this? Okay, now what happens? Okay, you are done with this one. So we have to find out F, right? We have to find out F. So we are asking, now here we are checking, is candy count and what is that other one? You have to check the candy count and which count. So we see, basic idea is, we ask the question whether you want to go to candy or gall, and we take the count. Okay, we count the number of students who want to go to candy and who wants to go to gall. Then we compare both. Okay, we see how many students wants to go to candy. Let's say candy count is let's say 20 and goal count is 30. So we know this count is larger, so most of the students, they prefer to go to goal. So then here F, what should be F then? Yes, so you compare the goal count and candy count again. So F should be simply what? What is F? F should be goal. Is that clear? So you compare it. So then you check the goal count and the yes. So F should be goal count. So this is the answer. So any doubt? Any, if you have any clarification? So are we clear on this? Okay, any questions? Right. Okay, so we'll go to the next question. Next paper. 2019, part 2, question 1. Okay, this question 7, not 1. Question 1, sorry. Question 1, in question 1, you will get 10 parts. So this is actually, you can put the hands down. 8 part, okay? If you have the past paper, you can use the past paper. So answer this question. Following flowchart is used to input marks of 3 subjects, right? Following flowchart is used to input marks of 3 subjects, then it calculates and displays the average of those marks and the pass-fail status. So this is also similar, right? To be considered for a pass, the average should be greater than or equal to 40. So we did a similar one in 2021, I guess. Yes, 2021. Identify the correct statement for each of the labels P, Q, R, and S in the flowchart from the table given below. Write down each label and its matching statement number. Okay. Okay. Basically, you have to take the statement from here. So they have given the statement for each of these. So what you have to do is you have to get, so let's say the first one, you have to take, okay, if it is P, you have to say P equal 1. P should be 1. If Q is 2, you say Q 2. Like that, just you match it. Very simple, right? Very simple one. Basically, what you have to do, you have to calculate and display the average of average marks of 40 students. So what is the question number? First question, Najat. First question, 8th part. So there are 10 part now. So this is the 8th one. Okay, not from the 7th one. We already did one part from the 7th one. So once you're done, please raise the hands. Yeah, once you're done, please raise the hands. Shihan, okay. Najat, Umar, Nirukshi, Kirtika, Rinas. So if you have done, please raise the hands so we can discuss the answers. How many of you completed? 14, very good. So how about others? Huda, Umar? Okay, shall we discuss the answers? Okay, so how do you find out, how do you do this? Very simple one, right? So you have to take the marks of 3 students, only 3 students, right? So they have given the marks as input. See, now you have to find, okay, here you have to compare the average, no, right? You have to say, you have to compare the average. See, to be considered for a pass, the average should be greater than or equal to 40. So you have to compare the average. But here we don't have the average, no. So what you have to do then? In this process, what you have to do? P, what you have to do? You have to calculate the average, right? So what is P then? Which statement says to calculate the average? So they have given very specific, very clearly, add all 3 marks and divide by 3. So that is the first statement. So first statement clearly says, okay, you add 3 and divide by, sorry, add 3 marks and divide by 3. That's how you calculate the average. The same question, see how they have repeated the same question. Now in 2019, they have asked, they have given this box so you can get the idea. But when it comes to 2021, right, 2021, I guess, no, or 2020, I can't remember, is it 2020, whatever the other paper, they have asked the same question, they have included the same question without this box. Now that's you have to so if you did the past papers clearly, if you complete this question, then this would be very easy for you. Okay, what is then Q? Okay, now once you done, once you find the average here, so you have the average here, right? Now what is Q? What is Q? So once you get this average, Q should be then, yes, what is Q? Q Q should be Hani. Okay, Zaharin, there are different answers. Okay, let's see. Right, now in this Q, you can see it's a diamond. Then definitely what you have to do, you have to compare something, right? Compare it now. So what you have to do is you have to check the marks, right? The average should be greater than or equal to 40 to be considered pass, right? So how do you do that? So is it, okay, we have in this question, they have given average should be greater than or equal to 40, but in the statement, they have not given the equal sign. Uh, yes, because Uzma, yes, that's I will explain that, okay? Is that Uzma? Yes, Umar, sorry. So Umar, I will explain that. Rida, okay. Rida correct, Najat correct, Hafsa correct, Raid wrong, Ani correct, Zaharin correct, Hafsa Fa is wrong, Atika correct, Samiha correct, then Umar wrong. I think, no, Umar, I think that's, you are saying for the P. Okay, anyway. So P should be what? P should be, oh my God. Right. So now what you have to do is here, right? They have given is average less than 40. So you check whether the average less than 40. So Q should be the fourth one. You compare it. Right now they are saying to be considered for a pass, the average should be greater than. So average, right? Average should be greater than or equal to 40. Then this is pass, right? Right? But now, see, they have used it other way. What is that? So in this one, they say average less than 40. Then what is this? If average greater than or equal 40 pass, then average less than or equal 40, what is that? What should be then? So if the pass is greater than or equal to 40, then fail should be yes. Fail should be less than 40. Yes, this is fail. Is that clear? So in the question they say, right, if it is still not clear, right, if you think, I don't know, Uda. Right. So yeah, it's very simple, right? Even if you take any inequalities, right? Anything, right? If you are saying, okay, average, I will write it like this. If average greater or equal 40, right? So let's take the number line. Okay, consider the number line if you are still not sure. Okay, look at this one, Umar. So you are saying average marks is greater than or equal 40, this area, including the 40, this is pass. Okay, if this is the case, pass. Okay, then what should be this area? What should be this part? Less than 40, this is fail. Now, when you write an inequality in maths, right? When you write an inequality in maths, we say average greater or equal 40, that's 40 is included, that is pass. Then other one is, how do you write it? Less than 40. So that is one part is greater than equal 40, then other one is automatically less than 40. So that's what they have given here. Very simple, right? If the fail, yeah. So if the inequality is clear, so this is easy, right? Is that clear? Right. Now, then we'll come to the other one. Now, okay, let me clear this one. Okay, then, okay, you compare here average less than 40 because they have given that, no. So Q should be 4, right? Now, if the condition is true, if it is yes, what should be S then? I'll come to the R later. S. If the condition is true, what you have to display? What should be the message? Sorry?
Fail.
Fail. So that is number 2. So S should be number 2. Right? Otherwise, what you have to say, the pass, that is number 3. So these are the answer, right? Any question? So if the condition is yes, you have to say fail, display fail. The condition is no, you have to say pass. Because why do you do that? Because we are checking average less than or 40. If the average is less than or 40, if it is yes, they are fail. If the condition is true, they are pass. And although they mention here to be considered for a pass, the average should be greater than or equal 40. But in this one, they have given other way just to confuse the things. That's all. So any questions? Huda, yeah, your answers, you can check the answer with this one. Yeah, fine, your answer is fine. Okay, shall we move to the next one then? You can check the answers. If you have any questions, please ask me. Okay, okay, we'll go to the next part paper. This is again very easy one, right? Very easy one. 2014, 2016 paper, right? The 2016, I think question 7, 2016 question 7 part 2. Yes, question 7 part 2. Okay, can you do this question? Suppose a school has conducted an examination of a particular subject for 100 students and recorded the marks scored. The given flow chart with blank spaces indicated by A to D is designed to read these marks and display the highest. Can you remember the same program, same flow chart, which was, I think, which was given your textbook? Okay, display the highest. What that means? Highest mean we are finding the maximum. This is the max, right? So you want to find the maximum. Right? Identify and write down the appropriate state label for A, B, C, D, E. So you are not required to copy the flow chart to your answer book. So you don't need to copy the flow chart. So is that clear, the question? Because I want to scroll down. Suppose a school has conducted an examination of a particular subject for 100 students and recorded the mark score, right? So they have conducted the exam for 100 students, and they have recorded the marks. Now, let's say the marks are like 75, 10, 55, 60, 15, like this. They have recorded the marks for 100 students. So how many marks will be there? How many marks will be here? Yes, Zaharin, you have a question? So 100 marks, right? Now from this 100 marks, you have to find out the maximum, right? You have to find out the maximum. So we already learned this. Now, this is not a new question. So using that knowledge, so you can answer, you can complete this flowchart. So we already explained this, how this works, right? Usually the maximum or the minimum part, right? So we have already learned this. So by using that one, you can answer this question. Okay, can you try this? I will give you like 2-3 minutes time, then we will discuss. Yes, Zaharin, if you have finished, raise the hands. Or if you have a question, please ask me. Yes, Zahrin completed, right? Umar and the Najat. Okay, good. How about others? Yes, if you have any questions, please let me know. So what does plus count? Count plus count equal one. Which one? Ah, okay, okay. I think that's a typing mistake, I guess. Let me see. No, no, yeah. Yes, Uzma, I think mm, this should be this way. Count equal count plus one, right? Correct this one. Count equal count plus one. So this is where you increment it. Correct it. Count equal, right? Count and plus one. Okay, okay, good question. Yeah, once you're done, please raise the hands. Rinas. Yes, Satika, Samiha, Huda, Lakshini, Sihan, Sara. Once you're done, please raise the hand. Yes, Huda, Nirukshi, and Kirtika. Okay, how about that? Others, right? Okay, shall we? You know, Okay, the basic idea. So when you want to find out maximum or minimum, what is the idea? What is the algorithm? How do you do that? Who can help? Who can explain that quickly? Who can explain the idea? How do you find out this? Okay, you have 100 marks, right? So if you ask to find out or write a program in any language, any programming language, or write out, if you ask to write a flowchart, so what is the algorithm you're going to use? What is the method basically? Yes, who can tell me the method? So, okay. So let's say you have 100 marks, right? Let's start like from first marks, right? Like this. So if you want to find out the minimum or maximum, what is the first step you have to do? What is the first step? Artika, what should be the first step? Uzma, yes, compare one mark with the other and find out the highest or lowest. Before that, we have to do one thing. What is that? Before comparing, what you have to do? The first step. First step. You have to read the marks. Yeah, that's correct. After that, you have to assign your first marks as your maximum. This is 15. No? So you have to take 15 as maximum or minimum. In this case, we'll take 15 as maximum. Is that clear? So we'll take the first marks as maximum, right? Now what you have to do, you have to compare the second marks with this maximum. You compare it with the second marks. Maximum is 15. No? So this box you have 15. No? So you'll take the second marks and compare it whether it's greater than the first one. So then, okay, this is greater, or then what you have to do, we want to find the maximum. No? So we'll take the second marks. Okay, this is not greater than, it's less than. So you leave it. We'll take the third marks, that is 25. So 25 actually is bigger than the 15. Now what you have to do is you have to replace your maximum with 25. So that is the idea, right? So we already completed. So now you can answer this question. Okay, then what should be A? What should be A? That is a, okay, now you know. Before that, if you look at this structure, what type of a structure you see here? What type of a structure is this? Sorry, if I mark it like this, what type of a structure is that?
Loop.
It's a loop. It's a repetition. Yes, very good. It's a loop. So when you have a loop, right, we know when you have a repetition, right, we know that we have to repeat the certain times. Okay. So we have a condition here, A, you check that, that is our looping condition or repetition condition. So now what is A? How do you decide what condition? So you have to remember, this is a book example. So this is already discussed. This should be already discussed in your this book. So you should know what is this. So that's what they assume, right? This is not a fresh new question. This is already given in the book. So you should know this algorithm or this flow chart. That's the assumption, right? So yes, now you have option. Okay, now yes, we have to check the count. We have to check the count whether it's greater than 100, because we have to go to 100 students. Or there's another answer, it says count greater or equal to 100. Now we have that doubt. So whether it should be less than 100 or greater than 100. Okay, anyway, you have to use your count because the count is 1, we say. Then you have to repeat that same thing for 100 students. That means you have to count it. Okay, one student, second student, right, third student. You have to get the marks of 100 students. You have to repeat it 100 times, right? That's the idea. Is that clear? That's the idea, right? You can put the hands down. Right. Now we have two options, whether we are going to take it like up to 100 or less than 100. What is the idea? What is the answer? Okay, you can share your answers, right? Put the hands down and you can share the answers. What should be A now? Okay, Uzma says less than 100. Okay, Zaharin less than or equal 100. Okay, we'll come to that argument later. Less than, okay, count less than or equal 100. Okay, both are there, right? Okay, now, okay. Anyway, either of this, no, right? Before we'll finish other part and we'll come to this later, right? Count greater than equal 100. That's completely wrong. Can you say count greater than equal 100? What will happen, Umar, if you say? Because count is initially 1, right? Now, if you check the condition here, you are saying count greater than equal 100, then my count equal 1, no, that is less than 100. So the program will go to no and it will go to the stop part. So it won't work basically. If you say count greater than 100, right? So what happens here in the condition here, if you say count greater than equal 100, initially count equal 1, so condition is false, so it won't work. So that is wrong. Is that clear? So it can't be that way. So that is wrong. Is that clear? You can't say greater than equal 100. Okay, now we know it should be less than or equal 100 or less than 100 because we have 100 students. Okay, we'll come to that later. How about B? What is B then? So basically what happens is, okay, look at this flow chart. Initially you read 1 marks X. Okay, you read the first marks, let's say the 15 or something, and you assign that to the maximum. You have a variable called maximum. So you put this 15 into the maximum variable, right? That's the first step. And you assign the count variable to 1. You make it count here, you make it count is 1. Okay. Because we have already considered the first input, no? So we say we are done with the first student. The count equal 1. Is that clear? Is that clear, the first part? Okay. Now we have a condition. We say count less than or equal 100, A. That is the condition. Okay. Now, right. Then count plus 1. Okay. You add 1 to the count here. Count plus 1. Right. So we are moving to the second student. Okay, we take the first student, we get the marks into the maximum. Okay, we check the condition. Okay, count less than or equal 100 or less than 100, whatever, right? Now we add 1 to the count. So count will become what in this step? Count will become 2. Now what you have to do in the B? So what is B then? After getting that, what you have to do now? You have to read the second marks. You have to read the second marks because you have the first marks and you assign that to maximum. No, you have to compare the second marks with the maximum. Okay, then before that you have to read the maximum. So what should be B then? How do you read it? How do you read it? You have to say input X. Again, you have to say input X because you are taking this other one. So you have to say input X, capital or simple, whatever, right? Input X. So B should be input X. Is that clear? B should be input X. Right. Right. That's correct. So B also done. Right. Now we'll come to the other part now. Right. C. What is C then? So you compare in this part, right? You compare your X second marks with the maximum. So you already have 15. Let's say your second marks is 25, right? So already in the maximum box, the maximum you have 15. You are reading second marks 25. Now you are comparing your X and the maximum. What is X? Second marks. 25, maximum is, let's assume 15. Right now, X greater than maximum. Now what you have to do? If the X is greater than, if your second marks is greater than the maximum, you are saying my maximum is 15, but you compare the 15 and 25, but actually the 25 is greater, no? So if this is true, what you have to do? What you have to do? If the maximum is now you have to change the maximum, right? That is the idea. Because you are assuming that, let's say you are assuming you take the first marks and you assume 15 first mark, this is my maximum mark. But you are reading the second marks, which is 25. Actually, the second marks 25 is what? It's greater than the 15, no? Then what is the maximum now? If you compare 25 and 15, what is the maximum? Is it 25 or 15? 25. Yes. Then you have to correct this, no? Because now you are thinking, okay, I am the Superman, so I am the best, right? But later you see there's another one, right? There's another, let's take a world record, something, right? Okay, let's take a world record, let's say a world record in athletics or whatever, right? So they record the timing, no, right? Let's say if someone completed 100 meter, I don't know, within like 99 point something. But if you have a better one, you have to update that record, no? Basically what you do, right? If you have a better speed, you update that world record. Like that, now you assume initially, okay, 15 is my maximum. That is the assumption. That's an assumption. But you read the second marks and that is 25. Now you know definitely, very clearly, that is greater than my maximum. So my assumption should be wrong. So what you have to do is you have to override this and put this into the maximum. So your maximum should be now 25. Is that clear? So if the condition is true, what you have to say in the C, then so you compare these two, right? As I said, now you find out that it's a yes, you find out that my assumption is wrong now. My second marks is greater than the first marks. Then in the C, what you have to say? You have to say what? You have to say in the C, okay, assume the new max equal X now. In the C, what you have to say? C, you have to say, C should be, then you have to say maximum equal X, right? So because we say that assume the second marks is now maximum. So that is my C, right? Yes. No, you don't add max plus max one. That is not the answer. Samia, you have to, as I said, you come like, okay, take this example, which athletics example. So you have a world record. You have world record for 100 meters, world record, which says like 9.7 seconds. Is it seconds or minutes? I don't know. Right. So now when you have a new record, which is let's say 9.6 something, then you have to override this world record now. So you have to write, okay, now the world record is 9.6 seconds or whatever, right? Okay, like that. Here also you read the first marks and you assume the first marks is the maximum, right? But when you have the second marks, right? Like as I said, okay, your maximum is 15. When you have the second marks, if the second marks is actually greater than the 15, you have to override this and write the 25. How do you do that? How do you do that? You say max equal X. That means, okay, put the new X value into the maximum. Override this, right? When you say max equal X, it will automatically override the value. So that should be the C. Okay, what is D then? What is D? What is D? Ah, very good. So finally, right, once you check all the 100 students, once you finish with everyone, okay, then the condition will become false and you have to display your what? Is it you have to display the X or the maximum? You have to display the maximum. Or you can say output, either display or output, whatever, right? Both are correct. Is that clear now? Is that clear? Any questions? Try to understand this. This is a standard question, right? This is a standard question given in your book, so you should be very clear on this. So you have to understand. So I have explained a few times. If you want, you can watch the recording again, and right, if you are not clear. Okay, now we'll come to the first point. I hope other part are clear. Now, what about the count now? Which one is correct? Well, we have two answers. Count is less than 100 or less than or equal 100. What I want you guys to do is create a tracing table, right? First write down this, right? For this question, please come up with a tracing table, right? You have to create a tracing table. You don't need to go up to, first you can start 1, 2, then you can repeat it, right? Oops, what is that? Okay, so let's find out which one is correct. You can create a tracing table and find out right now. Shall we do it? Okay, shall we? Okay, you can do it this as a homework. Okay, you can create a tracing table, right? You can trace a tracing table because we want to find out, right? A part, which is this less than 100 or less than or equal 100? So we have a doubt on this, right? Some students say less than 100, some say equal 100. So in order to confirm this, I want you to draw a tracing table, right? So you start with some values and you see how it goes. Can you understand this? Okay. So I will explain this next time. Please remind me if I forgot. Right. I will explain this, but you can draw a tracing table by yourself and see which one is correct, right? But this is very important. You have to understand this. Okay. So do this as a homework. Whoever did, you can WhatsApp me, so I will check that. So let's wind up for today, and we'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a theory part, so don't miss that. Don't miss that class.